Have you ever dreaded having a conversation with someone who's crossed the line? And when the time came, you put it off? Until you eventually tell yourself, it wasn't that bad. If it happens again, I'll deal with it then. In this video, I'll share with you the 3 things that conflict triggers in us and why it's so easy to avoid it rather than deal with it. I know this pattern well. I've found myself going quiet, getting defensive, saying the wrong thing, and even sometimes blaming myself for the situation. The truth is, very few of us have ever been taught how to deal with conflicts. When conflict shows up, our emotional, primitive brain reacts first because it sees conflict as a threat. And when there's a threat, there's fear. Not necessarily fear of life and death, but fear nevertheless. It can be fear of rejection, fear of loss, or fear of consequences. We're wired this way. Let's look at what conflict commonly triggers in us. The first thing conflict triggers is fear. Not fear of physical danger, but fear of loss. Loss of belonging, loss of opportunity. Sometimes it's fear of being rejected. Sometimes it's fear of consequences. Being seen as difficult. Losing a seat at the table. Or not being given a chance at that potential promotion. Avoiding conflicts can feel safer than having to deal with those potential outcomes. The second thing conflict triggers in us is interpretation. Something is said and we immediately interpret the intent. More often than not, incorrectly. I'm sure it's happened to you at some point when you've walked into the room, heard something spoken, and you've turned around and said, "What did you say?" Or later, replayed it in your head, attached meaning to what was said. And what was said is not what was intended at all. Once interpretation takes over, the conflict escalates, often internally and then externally. The third thing conflict triggers in us is emotion and physiology takes over logic. Something strikes a chord. A button gets pushed that you weren't expecting. Your body reacts before your thinking mind has had a chance to catch up. Now the conflict isn't just with the other person, it's also happening inside you as well. That discomfort is often what makes people shut down, go quiet, or avoid the issue altogether. These reactions are human. They happen to all of us at some time or another. As we grow, learn, and develop emotional intelligence, we become better at recognizing these responses and working with them rather than being driven by them. If you're dealing with conflicts right now, please feel free to share them in the comments. I read all of them and I respond. Over the next 4 videos in this series, I'll be sharing ways to be better able to deal with conflicts and how to stop fearing them quite as much. In the next video, I'll be sharing with you what you're really listening to during a conflict situation. Thank you for watching.